Okay, we're going live. Connecting now. We are live. Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 170. Tonight we're doing a special old UFO cases. This one's about aliens attacking people, and hopefully it'll be a fun night. Robert's going to be talking about it, and I'll try and do my best to put images up and read out what he can't read. Whatever. But I'll cue the music and the intro. We should be having that now. It's going good. Hopefully the ticker's up there. I suppose this could be a 2 or 3 hour live stream. We'll see how we go. Truth just ahead. Hello. Hello. Good to be back for another live stream. I'll just switch cameras. Pause that one. And action. We should now see Robert. Are you there, Robert?
I am indeed.
I can hear you. Hopefully other people can. I'll just do...
Hello all.
Yep. Hello all. I'll just leave the echo on for myself to check it. I'll just type in the welcome message. If I can see it. Robert's got a eye infection. So, how's your eye feel now at the moment, Robert?
Show must go on, Paul.
Is it feeling a wee bit better?
A little bit better. I think fresh air helped.
Cool. I forgot what it was called now. Kelly something. Well, I'll call it Alien. Aliens Attack. Subtitle. I know, we'll start sounding like History Channel or what is it? TravelTV channel or whatever it's called. Who's always looking at aliens being the devils or demons or bad creatures.
Well, okay, we'll make a bit more sense out of that in a while.
So my idea is that there's obviously going to be good and bad aliens, but it seems like the TV always spins as evil aliens all the time, and especially if people are Christians, they believe them to be demons, right? Because that's what they're taught. So
this is the whole point.
I
don't think these aliens were aggressive as such,
right?
But certainly their attitude towards it was all out aggression, that's for sure.
So these are pictures that we found online of the people and the drawings they've done. It kind of looks crazy as anything. And they've got almost looks like the Mothman type thing here. So yeah, we'll go over it, and that was called the Kelly something or other, wasn't it? Kelly Hopkins.
Kelly Hopkinsville.
Hopkinsville.
It is 1955, and it's in the state of Kentucky.
Do you want to put up Yeah, we should actually bring up a map coordinate of it.
Yeah, if you can do that first, I've left you a link there, okay, Paul?
What, to a Google link? Google
It's a
Maps?
YouTube link.
We want a Google Map link to see where the location was. So we get an idea where we're looking at. We got 4 watching. Hello out there. If you want to join us on the side chat, just say hi.
And the guys can let us know how the sound is as well.
Is that Alan I see there? We've both got bad eyes at tonight, so hey, that one didn't come up for some reason. Robert, so why didn't that one come up? Studio YouTube. Come up with a donkey, whatever that means.
No, that's not it.
Yeah, I'll just push enter on it again. What's it doing? I think you must have given the wrong link.
No, definitely not, you know.
Well, let me cut it again. How are we sounding alright to you guys? We sound alright on the audio? We had to play around with Robert's mic because he's either been too low or he's been too loud and crackle. And we've hopefully got that sorted out now on his end and of his Windows setup. Keeps coming up with studio for some reason every time I cut it. Kind of weird.
Okay, well, right, we can move on to the next one if you like. Let me post that link again just in case I got something wrong.
I'll just redo it myself in a new tab. Looks like it's auto searching for something here. That's kind of weird.
Try that link, Paul.
I don't think it's a link. I think it's doing an auto search.
Yeah, it's a link.
It's got search here. What's happening? I don't think it should be searching. Why is it searching? Have I hit something I shouldn't have done? What have I done wrong? Or maybe it hasn't got HTTP in front or something. What's wrong with this thing we're pasting? It's got studio in front of it for some reason. Why has it got studio in front? I think you might be posting one to mine. Thanks for letting us know the sound's okay. But something's not right with the link. Okay, looks like we've finally got it up now.
Yeah?
Okay, pause. I don't think I've got the sound directed. So what's this from?
Yeah, that's the one, Paul. This
Of
gives
course.
you a very good overview of what happened.
Okay. We'll get there. But first of all, I want to bring up a map as well. Okay,
You can bring the map up after this, Paul. So once you've got an overview of what happened, then you can bring the map up just to see where it was.
Okay. Is there any music?
That'd be interesting as well.
In the mid-1950s, 2 families in rural Kentucky made headlines across the country when they told police that their home had been approached by small metallic creatures that could not be killed or scared away. The media coverage of the incident helped draw attention to neglected reports of UFO landings and entity encounters, and the strange goblin-like creatures excited the public imagination. At the same time, however, hostile and sensationalized reporting on the incident served to discredit stories of contact with anomalous entities, and helped erect the veil of ridicule that now surrounds them. In the fall of 1955, 50-year-old Glennie Langford lived in a simple farmhouse about 12 kilometers north of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, in the small hamlet of Kelly. She owned a small farm about 400 meters from each of her nearest neighbors, and lived with her son from her first marriage, J.C. Sutton, who ran the farm, and his wife Aileen, as well as her 3 children from her second marriage, Lonnie, Charlton, and Mary. They kept a few pigs, a dog, and some farm cats. The family had no radio, phone, or TV, and their only water came from a well in the backyard. On the evening of August 21, 1955, Mrs. Langford had a number of guests staying at the house. Elmer Sutton, the eldest son from her first marriage, and his wife, Farrah, as well as Elmer's friend Billy Ray Taylor, and his wife, June. Aileen's brother, O.P. Baker, was also staying the night, for a total of 11 people. Mrs. Langford allowed no liquor in the house, and no one was drinking. Around 7 p.m., Billy Ray went out to the well for a drink of water, and saw a bright, silvery, saucer-shaped object gliding silently through the air. It flew 9 to 12 meters off the ground, and left behind it a trail of multicolored exhaust. The object flew in from the south, and stopped over the neighbor's field to the north of the farm. It then descended straight to the ground, and appeared to settle into a gully some 90 meters from the house, though Billy Ray could not see it land through the trees. He ran inside and told the others that he'd seen a flying saucer, but everyone told him it was just a meteor. Within an hour of the sighting, the dog began barking violently, and Billy Ray and Elmer went out the back door to investigate. The dog ran under the house with its tail between its legs, and the men noticed it.
Yeah, so pretty good storytelling so far. Yes, I got it on slightly faster speed, so we can go through it a bit quicker.
God, a family there, children, grandchildren. What they thought was going to be just an average night quickly turned into something far more bizarre.
Right, so
you can move on.
The FBI investigate this one? Or Hynek?
I don't think the FBI investigated. Hynek was on the scene, yes.
Right, okay, so you're going to talk about that.
An eerie glow approaching from the field. As it came nearer, they could make out the figure of a small creature, about a meter tall, with a large round head resting directly on its shoulders, and long arms that reached almost to the ground. It had huge hands with talons on its fingers, and large floppy ears. Its eyes pointed 45 degrees out from center, and emitted a yellow light. Its upper body was muscular, but its legs were thin and spindly, and had no knees. The entire creature was silver in color, and gave off an eerie glow in the darkness. The creature walked slowly to the house with its arms raised to the sky, so Elmer grabbed his 20-gauge single-barrel shotgun, and Billy Ray grabbed a .22. They moved inside the back door and shot it when it came within 6 meters of the house. The men claimed that the creature did a backward somersault, then fell to all fours and ran back into the weeds around the yard. Billy Ray went back inside with Elmer, who gave his gun to JC and grabbed the 12-gauge shotgun. Billy Ray and JC then shot a creature peering in through the window, which also flipped backwards and ran away. The men went out the front door to see if they'd killed the thing, but as Billy Ray walked out past the overhanging roof, a clawed hand reached down and touched his hair. Aileen pulled Billy Ray back inside, and Elmer ran out and shot the creature on the roof. Billy Ray then noticed a second creature on a branch of a maple tree in the yard, and the men shot it. They said the creature didn't fall, but floated to the ground, so they shot it again, and it scurried off into the weeds. At the same time, another creature appeared from the northwest. Elmer shot it at almost point-blank range, and said that it sounded like shooting a metal bucket. Later, the men shot another creature on the roof. When they hit it, the creature floated 12 meters across the yard, and landed on the back fence, then scurried away when they shot it again. The men gave up on trying to kill the things, but for the next 3 hours, the creatures repeatedly approached the house, climbed over the roof, and peered in through the windows. The witnesses noticed that the creatures only approached in the cover of darkness, and did not step into the glow cast from the yard lights. They had 2 distinct forms of locomotion. When approaching the house, they walked slowly with an upright posture. After being shot, however, they dropped to all fours and ran away by propelling themselves with their arms rather than their legs. The being seemed to give off more of a glow when shot, and even when simply shouted at. There were never more than 2 of them seen at once.
So, that was the intro to it. So
Yeah,
this is
just there.
Just leave it there.
Paul, I just want to say.
Yeah, just hang on.
These guys were farmers.
So whereabouts was this location exactly? So it's actually a place called Kelly Hopkinsville Valley.
Hopkinsville.
Hopkinsville Valley?
Yeah,
is it Ville or Valley?
Yeah.
It's
in the state of Kentucky.
Okay, let me just see if we can find it. Where's the map? So see what comes up. Kelly Church Road, Kentucky. Doesn't actually say it's a double name though, so I'm not too sure. So I guess that's location. Kelly Station Park, Baptist Church. I suppose it's out in the whatnots, isn't it? Forest. And they've got a lake there. So we go right out. So it's just above Nashville there. Yeah, let's go to the map. I suppose we haven't got a street address or anything where it happened.
No, don't have that, Paul. One thing I'd like to say though is, these people, they could shoot straight. They were hunting to make a living, and 2 people aren't going to miss something at point blank range.
Well, you can see it's very farm areas. A lot of farming.
When the bullets hit, it made the sound like shooting into the bottom of the bucket. That's how they described it.
Yeah.
Oh, spooky.
Kelly Green Men case. What year was this again? 1955.
1955.
That's a pretty old case, that's for sure. What's that? Not too far after Roswell crash.
It doesn't really matter if it's old or new because it could happen again.
Yeah. Was there any Air Force bases or anywhere near this lot? Kind of almost sounds like paranormal rather than UFOs. So I guess that's probably more of the Kelly area there.
I suppose if you put just the alien or whatever they are sightings without the UFO, then yeah, you could come to that conclusion. But no, I think not. I don't think ghosts land in a UFO.
That didn't quite work. I was trying to get Air Force Base. See if there's any Air Force bases there. Church Road, Kelly Church Road. Must be on that. Yeah. Yeah. Air Force Base. Is there Air Force Base here? Toy Air Force Base. What's that one? Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. No. Is there one in Kentucky though? It must be, surely. America has Air Force bases everywhere. Oh well, doesn't matter, I guess.
It's not important.
No, but you can see here. There's a lot of wooded area here. It's very sparse, even till today. So what we probably have to do is go back in time. But unfortunately, we can't go back because Google wasn't around in 1955. So I think it would have been a lot more sparse back then. So anyway, where do you want to go to now?
Do you want to move on with that video?
You want to move on?
That's the best open.
Okay, it's police investigation. You don't want to add your own one there? Okay.
By about 11 o'clock, the group was becoming hysterical, so they piled into the 2 vehicles on the premise and drove to the Hopkinsville police station. The officers on duty remarked that everyone looked to be in shock. The officers immediately called the chief of police, Russell Greenwell, then notified the Kentucky State Police. Greenwell, 2 state troopers, and all the witnesses but June Taylor, who was particularly shaken, drove to the scene. The Christian County Sheriff's Office also sent a deputy sheriff, and called the staff photographer at the Kentucky New Era, the local newspaper, who arrived with his wife. 4 military police from Fort Campbell, a reporter from Madisonville, and 1 or 2 curious locals also arrived.
Okay, so we got Fort Campbell there. Someone's asking, why would you shoot aliens though? I don't know.
Those type of people shoot first and ask questions after. The country people, the farmers, anybody who was trespassing on their land was fair game as far as they were concerned.
Fort, what was it called now? Fort
Worth?
The local newspaper, who arrived with his wife. 4 military police from Fort Campbell, a reporter.
Fort Campbell. So where's that?
My bad.
See how far away it is. There we go. Right. Okay. What's he typed in Fort Campbell then? Okay, there we go.
Military bases. They change name quite often, you know.
So that's where they were.
That's an airport, known as Wright Field at one time.
Yeah.
I think Roswell Air Force Base, or Army Air Force. That was known as after Roswell. It was known as a different name. Pretty sure of that.
Hopkinsville.
I think it was the Walker Base.
There we go. So let's see what the connection is. So they're not too far away then from where they were. That's 17 miles, which is 30 minutes drive. So if did they come by air or by road? So that's what we're looking at.
In the gully close to the house, didn't it? So it's obviously by air.
Madisonville we got here as well. A reporter from Madisonville. Whereabouts is that on the map? Can't quite see a Madisonville here. No. Oh well, it doesn't matter. We'll just carry on.
Reporter from Madisonville, and 1 or 2 curious locals also arrived. On the way to the farmhouse, one of the state police said that he heard a whining sound like artillery fire, and saw 2 streaks of light flying downwards to the farm. Later, the officer claimed that these were only meteors. Several other locals said that they'd seen meteors as well, at different times. The small army of witnesses, reporters, police, and investigators converged on the farmhouse, and flooded the scene with light. The witnesses remained outside while Greenwell led the investigators in a search of the house, yard, and some of the surrounding fields. Though they saw the evidence of a firefight, they found no evidence of the creatures. However, Greenwell and others found a small patch of grass by the back fence that was luminous at a certain viewing angle, which was later suggested to be a type of bioluminescent fungus. Greenwell, who had his own UFO sighting in 1952, believed that the witnesses had seen something strange, but he had no proof of anything. Investigators began to leave once it became clear that there was nothing left of the creatures, and by about 2 a.m., the exhausted witnesses were finally free to sleep. Around 2:30, Mrs. Langford was lying on her bed with her head towards the window when she noticed a light from outside. When she opened her eyes, she saw one of the creatures peering in, with its claws on the screen. She notified Elmer, who shot it in spite of her protestations. More shots were fired in the next 2 hours, but the creatures were not deterred. They showed no hostility whatsoever, and never once attempted to enter the house, only to look inside. They were last seen just before dawn, around 5 a.m. Later,
so they got strange mushrooms here that glow in the dark. Could they have somehow picked up some hallucination from mushrooms or something like that? Did he?
That's a distinct. Yeah, that's a possibility. But the thing is, only a couple of them went outside. I think it was Billy Ray Taylor and Lucky Sutton. They're the only ones to leave the door and shoot, so they're the only ones who could have been infected.
But there was a case in Britain, I think it was. Or was it America? The Salem witch trials, wasn't it? They said there was some fungus that was on the wheat that made everyone hallucinate things, witches and things. So it could be the same.
Salem witch trials, yeah. They were 1692, I think.
Yeah, so the wheat fungus, which was only known in recent years, wasn't it? Grows on fungus and makes people hallucinate things. So maybe it could be related to that too, you know. But yep, we'll carry on. Did Hynek actually get blood tests done or anything like that at all?
Blood tests, then I don't really know. But one thing is for sure, Hynek was absolutely convinced they were telling the truth.
Yeah. Okay. We'll just carry on.
Later that morning, investigators returned for a more extensive search of the grounds, and the story hit the news. It was first reported by the local radio station, WHOP, in their early morning broadcast, and their news reporter interviewed the witnesses later that day. Bud Ledwith, the engineer and announcer, arrived the same day with the station owner's son. He spoke with Langford and the Sutton women, and drew a sketch of the creatures based on their descriptions, documenting the witnesses' earliest recollections. Ledwith later did 2 more sketches based on the men's suggested corrections. Over the next few days, newspaper and radio reporters poured into Hopkinsville from Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. An officer from Campbell Air Force Base arrived on the scene after hearing WHOP's coverage, though the Public Information Office denied that there had been an official investigation. Greenwell also...
Actually, so, I just want to see if we can got that picture. We got the picture here, haven't we? See if I can zoom in so we can read it a bit better. That one looks like it's going to a Facebook page or something, Twitter. Let's see, I might have to save it.
I wouldn't be a little bit surprised if Dr. Spock from Star Trek was modelled on this. Oh.
I don't know. It looks more like the Mothman to me. But it could be even related to the Mothman, you see. Maybe they're looking for their companion that crashed. Whereabouts did the Mothman crash? It was up in Canada, wasn't it?
No, I think that was in the States as well.
Yeah. Well, actually, that might be a connection, you know. Mothman.
Gotta keep
location. We can always do the Mothman some other time too.
Yeah.
Let's see. How did you say that one? Appalachia. What's the location of it though? West Virginia. So that's further north, isn't it? West Virginia, above Kentucky.
Yeah, it's. I think it's above Kentucky, but it's still down south.
Yeah, let's see if
we
can bring it up on the map. Kentucky, West Virginia. You know, sometimes you see connections like this when you're looking at cases, and you think, could it be related?
It's also related to what the children were talking about in the Welsh school UFO incident, Broadhaven.
Okay, where are we going? Let's see how far away it is. Oh, it's not that far. Look at that. Could be a connection. Could be a connection with the Mothman. Very interesting. See, I see things that other people don't see, you see.
I think. Oh,
sorry, I didn't quite catch you there.
No, I didn't think of that myself, but yeah, possibly.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So we're going to have to cover that one sometime too. So let's have a look at this picture so you can read what it said. Is it possible? It's pretty bad, isn't it? Wonder if there's a better copy out there. What's that say there? Ears, floppy. Mouth, thin line. Oh, that sounds very MothMan-y as well as alien grey-y, I suppose.
Yeah.
No lips. Eyes like saucers, which is kind of strange. But when the Mothman, it's got like beady red eyes, hasn't it? So, did they say what colour the eyes were? Yellow, is it? Yellow, glowing.
I thought it was glowing red.
Body, no neck. So when they said they were floating around, could they have had some sort of wing system, but like a Mothman, you see? Skin, can't quite read that. Really well pixelated there. Smooth. What else we got? Hands, large, something rather. And they got 3 fingers and a thumb, I guess, or maybe 4 fingers. So anyway, let's carry on with the video.
Yeah.
Strange looking thing. What have we got down the side? Haha, yes, I agree. I will make them a good cup of Earl Grey any day. Aliens should visit the UK more. Right. Why shoot them? Actually, Earl Grey is one of our friends, isn't he? On Facebook. He comes on our show sometimes too. Which is good to tell us about some unique UFO cases. But he's always so busy, everybody wants to talk to him. So anyway, we'll just carry on.
Claimed that 2 men arrived from Standiford, a commercial airfield. Despite the attention, the family declined most interviews, as did most of the neighbors.
Oh, actually you're breaking up.
Some neighbors,
Robert?
however, claimed to hear gunshots, and another saw lights on the farm shortly after Taylor's sighting. Investigators found nothing, not even a footprint of the little creatures, but other forms of evidence went undocumented. For example, there was no effort to collect the bullet casings littering the house and yard. On the second day after the incident, Project Blue Book, the UFO research group of the US government, put out a press release claiming that there was no basis to the story, no official Air Force report, and no investigation underway. It is now listed in the Blue Book files as unidentified. Still, the media coverage created a buzz and drew sightseers from the area. People drove into Kelly in such numbers that parked cars lined the roads for nearly half a kilometer on either side of the property, and crowds of visitors surrounded the house for days. Entrepreneurs wanted to set up merchandising booths in the front yard, but Mrs. Langford turned down every offer and never appeared on TV or radio after the WHOP interview. She put out a plea in the Kentucky New Era begging people not to visit, and she repeatedly called the state police to clear away the sightseers. Much of the reporting was inaccurate and often hostile, especially in the national press. Reporters referred to the unknown entities as little men and exaggerated their number and intent. A few papers said that there were 12 to 15 of the things, and most described the event as an invasion, despite the creature's nonviolent nature. Out of state, papers referred to the creatures as little green men, a term used in Orson Welles' War of the Worlds broadcast, even though no one had described the beings as green. Despite the flippant coverage from governments and journalists, the case received at least one thorough investigation. In June of 1956, Isabel Davis, an investigator with civilian saucer intelligence, spent 4 days in Hopkinsville, with a follow-up 10 months later. She spoke with Glennie and Aileen, the only 2 cooperative witnesses, as well as Ledwith, the neighbors, a few reporters, and the 3 police departments on the case. Davis also later obtained all Air Force documents on the Kelly landing case, which showed that the command...
Have you actually got access to these documents at all? Robert? Are you still there?
No, I couldn't find Yeah, I couldn't find any documents, Paul.
Okay. You've sort of broken up to me for some reason. We weren't getting that before.
No.
Might be your sensitivity on the mic. I forgot to check that, didn't I? But it's alright, we'll just carry on.
Commander of the Air Technical Intelligence Center at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, home of Blue Book, requested information on the incident in 1957 after learning of Davis's upcoming report. The reply confirmed that a reserve officer had visited the scene, but made it clear that the higher-ups didn't believe in saucer landings. Hynek, however, who worked with Ledwith on another project, and read Davis's manuscript, took a personal interest in the case and discussed it in the UFO experience. Davis produced the definitive report on the Kelly-Hopkinsville incident in Close Encounter at Kelly, which was published by the Center for UFO Studies in 1978.
How much should we play of this guy's video? Significance.
Defending their territory. How these owls survived multiple gunshots is left unexplained.
That's all it was, guys.
Was that
an owl?
That's the same as the Flackwitz monster one that they claim was a big owl that scared the kids in the forest. Maybe it's the same as these creatures here too that we're looking at in this case here. Maybe it looks like, because it looks like an owl, doesn't it? It looks like a crazy demon type thing. So who was that that was said it? Was that Klaus? Was it? We sort of skimmed.
You mean Philip Klass? You mean
Klaus? Yeah.
Nah, it wasn't. I don't think it was him. I'm not sure if it was Donald Menzel that came up with that ridiculous idea that they were owls. I mean, as far as I know, owls don't hunt in packs or flocks even.
Oh, it's this one here, is it?
There were several of these creatures. Oh, Joe Nichol. Oh, God, yeah. Skeptical Inquiry, yeah.
I don't think I've heard of much about him. Skeptical.
Yeah, I have.
Suggested that the creatures were merely great horned owls defending their territory. How these owls survived multiple gunshots is left unexplained. Others have suggested that the event was a hoax. Many investigators found Billy Ray Taylor to be an unreliable witness, and accused him of either exaggerating his story or of hoaxing the event outright. Other witnesses, however, showed no signs of exaggeration or of attempting to capitalize on the encounter. Langford in particular was considered to be an unimpeachable witness by all investigators. Even if Billy Ray, or some of the others, had invented their parts of the story, it seems unlikely that all of the participants went in on the hoax together and kept up the ruse for the rest of their lives. After all, they gained nothing from it. A few days after the encounter, the Suttons put up a sign in their driveway demanding an admission fee, with additional fees for pictures and interviews. The papers took this as a sign that the whole story had been hoaxed for profit, but only Billy Ray was seen to have collected payments. Everyone else just wanted to get rid of the visitors. If the families contrived the story to make themselves rich and famous, then they almost completely failed to capitalize on an ideal situation. At the same time, there is also no physical evidence to verify the eyewitness accounts, not even claw marks on the ground, or the house's corrugated iron roof. Still, the ground was dry and hard, and even the investigators left no prints on the scene. What's more, the witnesses showed clear signs of shock and terror. One of the medically trained investigators who rode to the farmhouse with Billy Ray measured his heartbeat at 140 beats per minute, twice the normal average. All but one of the 11 family members saw the silver creatures for themselves. Investigators found no signs that the witnesses were intoxicated in any way, and had ruled out drug-induced hallucinations. Whether they were physically real or not, the little goblin creatures left their mark in popular culture, as did the people who saw them. The entities inspired a number of movie and video game monsters, including the monsters in Critters and Gremlins, the Pokemon Sableye, and the farm invasion scenario in the popular Nintendo 64 game Majora's Mask.
So that's pretty much his video there. So where do we go from here?
Well, it'd be nice to hear a story from somebody who was actually there, wouldn't it?
Yep. So that's the summary. So where do we go from here? Close that one down.
Okay, close that down.
Yeah.
And I'll drop you another link now, Paul.
Right. So what's the explanations here? Does it talk about owls on this wiki page?
That's the only thing that...
Psychologists cite the alleged incident as an example of pseudoscience and the extraordinary claim to help students develop critical thinking skills, eh? It's plausible, if not likely, that the aliens were great horned owls, which we heard. And that's Nickel, 2006. Committee for Skeptical Inquiry member. Yeah, we heard all that. According to author Brian Dunnan, there are simply too many similarities between the creatures reported by the families and the aggressive pair of local grey-horned owls. Ufologists, French ufologist Ronald, whatever his name is, Select, I can't say it, has argued in a publication that the explanation of the case is saying, Jerome Clark writes that its supposed creatures flocked through the trees and the sound of the bullets striking them resembled bullets striking a metal bucket. I don't think so somehow. So that means if they've got these flexible suits on them, obviously they're not going to be metal, are they? They're not going to be like ancient armor. That it's going to have to be... It's going to be like...
The witnesses, that's what it sounded like.
Yeah, it's going to be like a material that's going to be like a memory metal, which could act as a defense shield, go hard to protect them. So, but we know...
I'll tell you something. Anybody who believes that the explanation is owls is delusional.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's stretching it a bit. Optical illusion, maybe, if they were got sort of high on some sort of substance. I don't know.
There was a...
So you got another link here.
Hallucinogenic drugs around in 1955. Well, it probably was, but I don't think the average person could get their hands on it. Not until the 60s, at least.
It's doing that still. It's going to YouTube all the time. What am I doing wrong here? It's got Google search here.
Got my last link, yeah.
Yeah. But it's going to search for some reason instead of a paste link. How do you get rid of that?
That's an odd one.
Yeah, did I click on something? It's not normally search there though, is it? Well, I can't remember. Let's see. Did I close down my other one over here? No, yeah, it comes up Google search there too. Okay. But why does it put studio in front? That's just crazy. Let's see if that works. No, it's got studio in front again. Why? Why is it doing that now? I never had that problem before. It's only when I get it from you for some reason. Yeah. Let's delete the stupid front bit on it.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's doing that. Never used to do that. Okay, looks like we've lost the speaker. Okay, so we're playing someone else's video now. I'd rather not play other people's videos if we can help it. Especially with music.
In August of 1955, my father and grandmother and some aunts and uncles had a great adventure one night.
In the summer of 1955, this historian was approaching his 15th birthday and accordingly has a good memory of what happened that summer. It was a typical time growing up in Hoptown in the 1950s. typically hot in August. And so it was on that night, as I recall it, of about August 21st, 1955, that all hell-kaluk broke loose in Hopkinsville.
It's a fantastic little story. It has lasted all these years. I heard it from the main source, and that was my father, who in the story is Lucky Sutton, or Elmer Sutton.
Kelly in 1955 was very little difference from today. It had a grocery store then and a restaurant, service station, a couple of churches, and a number of private residences. You see, the little community of Kelly had grown up on the Chicago to Jacksonville line of the Louisville and Nashville Railroad, or as the hobos called it, the Long and the Nasty.
My dad and his wife Vera had come in. They had worked with the carnival for years. And Billy Ray, which was my dad's friend at the time, and his wife June, they were all together. They decided to come in for the weekend. He wanted to come home, see his mom and, you know, his brothers and catch up and to see how things were going. And the night this occurred, they were all in the house, and there was 11 of them in the house.
As the sun's light began to fade, Billy Ray stepped outside to draw water from the well. He saw something shaped like a saucer streak through the sky, trailing a rainbow of colors behind it. It settled down in the woods behind the house. When Lucky Sutton came out to check on his friend's seemingly outrageous claim, the two men saw something emerge from the woods. Coming toward them was a glowing 3-foot-tall silver being. Its arms were raised in the air over its head, and it was floating.
So we've heard this before, though, Robert. We're just repeating stuff here.
Yeah, okay. But I just wanted you to listen to the witness just to see her body language and
right.
what she's, you know?
Yeah, we'll just go to the skip to where she's back again.
Yeah.
So what's that bit there? Here we go. Story of Spaceship 12 Little Men. So this is the cabin shot here. That would be good to see some more pictures of the cabin, I suppose. So the thing was on the roof there.
They put holes in the wall trying to shoot these things. I don't think they're going to get that excited over a pair of owls.
No.
Find anything. The only thing they could find was shotgun
Okay, so we'll just carry on.
shells, of course, hoses.
Just slow it down a bit. Hang on. See where she's looking.
Yeah.
The screens and the windows, woodwork shot off, but her body.
She's looking all over the place there.
After the police left, the occupants of the Sutton home were to be terrorized again by 3 silvery beings until dawn.
It's a shame they didn't have smartphones back then to take pictures, huh? So what else we got here?
Pilot and Kelly.
They were coming from everywhere. Magazines were coming out. That night it happened, Kentucky New Era came out. They sent a reporter out then with cameras and everything. People were camping out in their yard waiting for them to come back.
So how come, if they had cameras, why didn't the family have a camera? Why didn't the newspaper guy that come out stay with them? In case, because they come back, didn't they? After everyone left, the aliens come back, didn't they?
That's right.
Till morning.
After the police had...
So you think someone would stay there or stake it out or whatever?
People were walking through their house and taking things as souvenirs, and it got really, really bad.
Community celebrated the 50th anniversary.
Sure, the kids went to church, and her credibility along with all this was enough to make people believe.
Police chief at the time was Russell Greenwell, a highly respected individual. And his widow, Rachel, now deceased, told me this incident, that in the years of interviews that Chief Greenwell had on the subject of the little green men, that Chief would say, "I don't know." I don't know whether there's anything to it or not, but I know this. Every time I interviewed the grandmother, who was a witness, as the interview deepened, there would be a look of stark, horrendous fear come across her eyes that he said he
No
could not
strap.
explain.
Oh, you got loud all of a sudden.
In the mind of that old lady, she saw something. In the
Can
way
you
of
just
these
say something? Robert, you
Yeah.
there?
Hello.
You,
Hello.
you suddenly got loud there a wee bit. I'm not too sure what was going on.
little characters, then she saw.
Something did happen that night. And that, just don't think it can happen to one little family out in the country. It can happen to anybody. There is possibly things out here that we don't know, that we can't explain.
It's a bit hard to read it because the reporter's over this side where memory looks. So we go back to the beginning. You can see the reporter's over here, but she's looking down here, which means she might be lying. What was looking downwards to the right mean? Of course, we don't know if she's right or left-handed. That's the only problem here. So we need to know which hand is dominant.
It's a fantastic little story. It has lasted all these years. I heard it from the main source, and that was my father, who in the story is Lucky Sutton, or Elmer Sutton.
Kelly in 1955 was very little.
Billy Ray, which was my dad's friend at the time, and his wife June. They were all together. They decided to come in for the weekend. He wanted to come home, see his mom and, you know, his brothers and catch up and just see how things were going. And the night this occurred, they were all in the house, and there was a letter.
Have we got any more witness videos at all? Or was this the only one you
No,
found?
I don't think so. Because it's an old case, you know, it's pretty much it, I'm afraid. No documents either.
Some educational Kentucky video. So, yeah, it's a bit hard to read that one because of the way the reporter is sitting. And, where would you say her eyes are looking there, you know? It's because she wasn't there as the witness. She's the kid of the family. With the kids hiding under the bed or something.
They were tucked away in the bedroom, yeah. But
Yes.
the aliens or whatever they were coming to the window, and yeah, things got a bit spooky.
So,
It's probably the most bizarre case in ufology. And it's always been close to my heart. So I remember my mum and dad talking about it, you know, where I wasn't supposed to be listening when I was around about 10. And it's always stuck in me ever since, you know.
Yeah. So where are we going next? Hynek?
Well, all I can tell you is that Hynek took it really seriously.
You have got any statement?
Yeah, no, I haven't, no. But according to Hynek, the whole intrusion of the thing upset them deeply, and they certainly didn't want visitors, and they certainly didn't want people asking them questions, and they certainly had no intention of making money from it. I think they sold up about 2 weeks after the incident, you know.
What's this PDF we got here? Close Encounter at Kelly and Others of 50. Let's have a look at that one. Is it Hynek? That could be why we're having a problem. It's not going through the proxy, I'll switch it. We're back to that bug again when I do a reboot. It's not coming down, is it? Unless it's really big.
Give it a chance.
Can't be that big, surely. Try reload. Not sure why it's taking so long to come down. Doesn't give us any indication, does it?
No, it doesn't. No, it's not even loading as far as we can see.
Normally it gives us the first page by now, doesn't it? So, the opinion of Dr. Hynek. It's cufos.org book. So it looks like it's a part of a book. Hynek, Kelly Encounter Part 1. Anything about Hynek there? Here we go, to become involved. Little green men. What's this one here? Let's have a look at that one. That one loaded pretty quick. Okay, so what's it saying about Dr. Hynek here? There he is there. After several hours, decided to make a break from the house. Where's Hynek's stuff? You think you better find a report from Hynek on it. Was it part of Logic Blue Book then? Was it Hynek Blue Book? Seems to come up with this one again. Oh no, that's a wiki. Can't see anything. Skeptoid. Okay, let's see what the Skeptoid's got to say. I was after Hynek though. So what do they think? Owls? Why is it not loading?
It mentions Blue Book there. It went down in the Blue Book files as unexplained.
Yeah, we'll go back and have a look through the list. So what's this guy reckon? Today we're going to go back to 1955 to a small town in Kentucky called Hopkinsville. It was about 11 on a hot summer night. We already know that. They went on to describe what becomes known to ufologists as the Kelly Hopkinsville Encounter. Small alien creatures. Mrs. Glennie Lanford rented the house, and her 3 grown sons, their wives, friends, and several children were there for the family for around 7 p.m. So where's his debunk on it then? Let's see. 2 officers who returned in the morning were told by neighbours that the families had packed up and left to spend time in Ellinsville after reporting that the creatures had returned at 3:30 in the morning. No shots were fired. So that's what that guy did on that interview. I mean on that video. Ever since, the story has only grown. Okay, so why is it growing? Let's read it, see if we can read it out anyway. Save me having to blunder through it.
Yeah.
Ever since the story.
That sounded pretty loud. Is it too loud?
No.
Well, it might sound alright to you, but it might be too loud on YouTube.
Ever since, the story has only grown. Like so many other alien stories we examine here on Skeptoid, the Hopkinsville case is often described as one of the best documented and most convincing. The Big Book of UFOs says, the Kelly Hopkinsville case is a classic of UFO literature that has puzzled both believers and debunkers alike. Drive J. Alan Hynek, the leading UFO researcher of the early days of ufology, said the Kelly Hopkinsville case seemed preposterous and offensive to common sense. Despite this, the case as a whole is interesting and many investigators consider it a solid example of a close encounter of the third kind.
Okay.
Yeah, you see, Hynek changed his mind on that. This is when he was still a skeptic.
Yeah.
1955.
Yeah, he changed his tune, didn't he?
Oh, he did.
He realised that some cases the government were trying to close, even though there was no logical reason to close them. They were truly unknowns.
The first widely published skeptical work on the episode was done in preparation for the town of Hopkinsville's 50-year anniversary of the event, at their Little Green Men Festival in 2005. The town's Chamber of Commerce hired full-time paranormal investigator Joe Nickell from the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry to give a talk on the strange episode. Joe did his homework, spending a number of days interviewing surviving witnesses and going through the town's old records and newspaper archives. In addition, the Kentucky New Era newspaper published a special 12-page supplement titled It Came From Kelly that included all the paper's past reporting of the event along with some retrospectives.
Okay, looks like a bit of yep on this one.
Nichols' skepticism was well justified, in my opinion. One of the first things that struck me about this case is that there's never been any plausible reason to connect the bright light streaking overhead with the creatures. According to the 1955 reporting of the event by Kentucky New Era's Joe Doris, Billy Ray Taylor only told the Suttons he saw a bright shooting star. Only in later retellings of the story by various authors did the element appear of Billy Ray watching a spaceship come down and land. And yet the corroboration by other witnesses in other locales who also saw a fireball has been cited as evidence of a UFO. Where's the logic in that? Such reports are exactly what we'd expect to hear, and what we do hear, every time there is a meteor over a populated area. The Kappa Cygnus is a minor meteor shower that was taking place at that very time, part of the broad Perseids meteor shower. Even the Fort Campbell observers reported seeing it.
Okay, so as we know, there are meteorite showers that happen at the same months every year, left over from the collisions of comets in the asteroid belt. So unfortunately, that's a bad timing for meteorites and a UFO sighting to happen at the same time. I've said this oftentimes. It might be that 2 or 3 events even happen on the same night, which are all separate events, and it sort of clouds the actual real UFO case that's happening.
Absolutely.
That one with the Phoenix lights as an example, where they drop military flares. So yeah.
That the flares were dropped 2 hours after the sightings began.
That's right.
So you've got an issue there.
So let's keep reading what Skeptic's got to say about it. If I can get it to select it properly.
Perhaps the facet of the story that is most strongly considered to be evidence of its factual, literal nature is the involvement of the United States Air Force. Previous authors have stated that the Air Force listed the encounter as unidentified, but rather than go on that, I wanted to see what it actually says in Project Blue Book. Blue Book's archives are available online and searchable, so I did a quick search for Hopkinsville. The only significant result I found came from the undated notes for a lecture on the Air Force's UFO program. On page 10 read the following.
Okay, so he did the search for us, didn't he?
Hoaxes, one phase of operations which takes so much time and effort, not to say unlimited patience, is the constant flow of sightings found to be, or strongly believed to be, deliberate hoaxes. Many of these hoaxes are crude, others are devilishly clever. I should like to present only a few examples from our files, with a few comments regarding each.
So they're classing it as a hoax, the blue book. By the looks of it.
Recent episodes received support from Mindscape Podcast. Imagine non-profit conference post a job for free sponsor an episode. The Kelly Hopkinsville Encounter. A rural family spent half a night battling what they thought were space aliens. By Brian Dunning. Filed under Aliens and UFOs. Urban Legends Skeptoid Podcast number 300.
Oh yeah, it's stuffed up. Yeah, I forgot the stupid highlight system here with the web pages. So you can see that. I hate when it does that.
I know, it's ugly, isn't it?
A list of named cases then follows, and the last item on the list is Hopkinsville Little Green Men case. Unfortunately, any accompanying slide or comments were not included, but it leaves little doubt as to what the Air Force's actual opinion of the Hopkinsville case is.
So the Air Force thought it was a hoax by the family. Yet none of them admitted to it though, until the dying day.
And upon digging deeper, I found that there's good reason for the Air Force to have held a dismissive attitude toward the case. Despite what's claimed in virtually all the books, apparently the Air Force was never involved at all, at least so far as I could tell, and thus the lack of any in-depth description in Project Blue Book. The claim that Air Force investigators showed up the next day at Mrs. Langford's house has been published a number of times by later authors, but I could find no corroborating evidence of this. Reporter Joe Dories was there the following day in 1955 and met with Mrs. Langford, who had been shooing tourists away all day. The most notable thing he could find was that Mrs. Langford's daughter was having a lot of trouble holding her cat, which ripped up one of the screen doors. If Air Force investigators had been there as well, it seems probable that Dories would have reported the fact.
What did you say, Robert? Because
okay, stop that, Paul. Yeah, okay. Listen, Hynek was there. He was on the scene. There's no question about that. And who was Hynek employed by? The Air Force. Project Blue Book was an Air Force. Was an Air Force project. Air Force project. So what the fuck? Sorry, what they're talking about there, I really do not know. That is bullshit.
Military, please. Well, military suggests it's related to the military or army.
The 4 military police who accompanied the police officers on the night of the event were from an army base, not an Air Force base. Although I couldn't find any record of who called them or why, my assumption is that the police requested their assistance for their firepower, upon hearing that a gunfight had been taking place. I find no reason to conclude that there was any official military acknowledgement of an alien invasion.
Well, he's saying he didn't find anything on the Blue Book's platform that listed as a hoax, so I don't know.
It wasn't listed as a hoax. It went down as unidentified.
That's not what he's saying here, though.
22.5% of Blue Book cases.
It was initially, he said up the top there something about it being unidentified, but when he searched, it was listed under hoaxes. Maybe you can confirm that or not. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
You have to search Blue Book case files yourself, I guess. Maybe we can find something.
Further, it turns out that the magnitude of the gunfire and panic has been egregiously exaggerated over the many tellings and retellings of the story. While in town for the 50-year festival, Joe Nickel examined the police reports, and the contemporary news reports can be read by anyone in the Kentucky New Era's 2005 supplement. It turns out that police found only a single hole in one screen, consistent with a .22 bullet. Lucky Sutton had a shotgun, and Billy Ray Taylor had a .22 target pistol. There were plenty of neighbors within earshot during the event, and the only neighbor who reported hearing any shots fired heard only a grand total of 4, which he mistook for firecrackers and ignored.
Hello. Turn your mobiles off.
Yeah, I've turned it off now.
Did you know who it was? The doctors, maybe?
Could have been.
That's not to say that the family wasn't genuinely frightened. I believe they were, and I believe their report to police was absolutely honest, and from the perspective of people who had undergone a traumatic ordeal. Lucky Sutton is described by ufologists as having been a rock-solid, no-nonsense kind of guy who would never make up a story. Well, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, it doesn't matter. Rock-solid, no-nonsense guys are just as capable of being as scared or as mistaken as anyone else. So that raises the biggest question of the whole story. What were these creatures that looked so much like little big-eyed, skinny-legged aliens?
Is it possible that one in the family actually pranked the others, so there'd be credible witnesses? It's possible, I guess.
Because the only ones who have gone out that day was Billy Ray, and yeah, he was a bit of a joker.
Could he have strung up something on fishing wire and had it slide across?
I don't think so.
But then,
he was the same guy.
then where did they hide the evidence all this time, Did he bury it in the garden somewhere? So, but as we pointed out there could be a link to the Mothman case there.
You know what? This is
Joe Nichol was clear in his analysis, and it aligned perfectly with the enormously detailed and thorough work done by French researcher Renaud Leclerc in 2001. Although it may sound cynical and dismissive, there are simply too many similarities between the creatures reported by the families and an aggressive pair of the local great horned owls, which do stand about 2/3 of a meter tall. Despite the reports of 12-15 creatures, the families themselves stated that only once did anyone see as many as 2 at the same time. Keeping in mind that the farmhouse had no exterior lighting, the appearance of an adult great horned owl is substantially the same as that of the creatures described by Sutton and Taylor. Leclerc noted that during August, these owls are feeding their young, and are known to belligerently defend their nests and even attack humans who come too near. They hunt 1 hour after sunset, smack dab in the middle of the firefight. Nichol concluded,
which we said sounds like hogwash, because if you're going to shoot a shotgun, was it a shotgun they said? He was saying up here.
Yeah, it's a shotgun, kind of 2.2 rifle, yeah.
A 2.2 pistol, it says here.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure that would kill a owl flying overhead. A shotgun especially has a bit of a kickback to it. Hello, Alan. Alan's back with us on the live stream. Yeah, so we only got a wee bit more here, so we'll just read out the last bit of the skeptic trying to debunk it.
He's doing a pretty bad job so far.
In summary, allowing for the heightened expectation prompted by the earlier flying saucer sighting, and for the effects of excitement and nighttime viewing, it seems likely that the famous 1955 Kelly incident is easily explained by a meteor and a pair of territorial owls. What a hoot. Could it really have been just owls? Well, of course we'll never know. It's certainly one possibility, and seems consistent with the reports. Another possibility is that strange creatures with unprecedented superpowers, never before or since sighted in the vicinity, with no evident motive, toyed with the Sutton clan one night in 1955. No evidence was found either way. This is one for the folklore files.
So, yeah, I don't buy the owl story myself, especially if they're shooting guns at them. because there would have been some blood on the scene, or feathers at least. You know, there should have been some evidence there.
All they found was glowing mushrooms.
Yeah, apart from looking up those Blue Book files to see if we can actually find it. Project Blue Book. What's that one got? Oh, right, it's a TV show. What is it? What else we got? So I guess this will be on that TV show they're talking about here. Probably be on the new season, will it? The story.
Could well be.
PDF. What's this one here? From the Blue Book file on Hopkinsville. I wonder if we can load it. That's the one we tried to load before. Should we try again? Might work this time.
We've got Alan Gibson here.
Yeah, I know. I said hello, Alan, before.
Yeah,
can I tell you?
If he can
right.
The site.
But he hasn't got mod rights to paste it.
Oh.
Yeah.
We had trouble with that before.
If you're a member of our Discord, you can just post it in there, and then Robert can check it out and post it on the side for you. Looks like that link's not going to work, unless it's a really...
The views have gone down to 1 from 5.
So when did we drop off? Right, it's trying to reconnect.
Oh.
So there was an internet problem going on. Huh? I think we're back now. How long were we down for? Let's see. Is that working now? The stream has stopped. Hopefully it's working again now. Error. Your encoding is sending data faster than real time. Eh? It's not possible. You must rate. Limit your... Never had that problem before.
No, never know.
That's always said it's too slow. So I don't know how it can go faster. Anyway, hopefully everybody... Is it working now? Okay, so what's Open Mind's got here? So how long did it drop down? Let's see, is it scrolling? Looks like it might be working. So they've got a location of the house. So we got location of the house now, have we, on this little green inn? Yeah, I think it's working now. Okay. We're back. Yeah, I never had that problem before, but they have been mucking around with the software again. Okay, so what do we got here? Little green men from outer space land in Kentucky. So it looks very similar to my map, Hopkinsville, yeah. So I included the Air Force, the Army base, I mean. Drawing off the craft seen by Billy, which looks a bit like a tic-tac, doesn't it?
Looks like a frying pan to me.
And the natives glow outside. And what else we got here that we may not have heard about? So just keep an eye on the string if it crashes again. At least we can resume from where it left off without ending. Local police seemed to take the event seriously. So here's a newspaper clipping here. Not the best quality. So we've seen that before. Oh, here's a copy. Captain Gregory, the chief of police, it was who stated that the affair was investigated by the Air Force. So that must prove that Blue Book file wrong then, because it states here it's Air Force, doesn't it? So it wasn't Army. It was Air Force, not Army. Like the guy, the skeptic, was saying.
Well done finding that.
And that's from Hynek here, was it? Oh no, to Hynek. So that should have been in the Blue Book.
No, John Allen Hynek.
That should have been in the Blue Book files. So why didn't he find this then?
It is.
One of his letters. Air Force also sent investigator. So that skeptic is wrong then.
Yep.
Because it's here.
Well, no, he's not wrong. He's nice.
Wherever it's elaborate hoax perpetrated by a well-respected Lenny Langford, along with the Sutton and Galloway clans, or visitation by curious ETs, the case helped solidify their concept of ET creatures as little green men. But were they actually green? They were silver with big
Nobody described them as little and green.
No, it looks like it's pop culture they're saying there. So there was real yellow eyes and grey skin, which looked very much like very much like grey aliens to what we know today with big ears, pretty much. So could the species have different variation? Sure, they could. They could. But like the difference between Europeans and Africans, right? There's going to be slight differences. Some have slightly bigger ears or whatever, or Asians is a good one where you get the flat noses versus European big noses. So what else we got here? Nothing else apart from that, I think. Oh, what's happened? Warning, the stream cannot current bit rate is lower than the recommended. So it's too low now. Before they were saying it was too high, and now they're saying it's too low. Well, I can't do anything about that, Google. We allow your user stream. I don't know what it says after that. It's never been a problem before, though. We have to see how it comes out anyway. What's this one here? That one's no good. Yeah, we did lose a lot of people drop off before, so maybe they thought we had vanished. What strange days. There has been a few sightings in this area over the years. What, Kentucky? What's that about MUFON? So you're catching up on the side chat there, Robert? Yeah. What have we missed out on there? Hang on.
Yeah, just Alan, if you can get the case number for he's reported it's a MUFON, you see.
Ah, right. Yeah, I was just going to get place the Discord link. But right, I can do it from here. Copy link address. Let's see my videos there. Oh, there's a current one. 3 watching. That matches. And we began hour and 29 minutes. Yep. So yeah, Discord group where if you join there you can post links. Was it not pasting? Here we go. You don't need to add an email address to start with. You can just type any name and just join the group. And you come in as a basic user, which allows you to post into the lobby only until we get to know you and upgrade your status to a full member. It's like it's cross between, what would you say, Hangouts and Facebook, maybe. Facebook fan page, where you got the categories down the side. Roberts is blowing his nose there. Yeah, I think we're done with that one there, Robert, unless you got anything else to add.
No, not really. It's just one of those most bizarre cases you'll ever come across, and don't think we'll ever have the answer now.
Yeah, I thought you were going to do the one down in South America where they got burnt skin. I thought you were going to do that one, but maybe
the collages. Yeah, we can do that another day.
Okay. American Myths and Legends, UFO Musterings, Accidental Hero. What's that talking about? Out went Hynek and Blue Book. And this one here, the Hynek UFO report. Okay, let's have a look at that one. That might be alright. Looks like it's a book or a magazine, is it? What is it? Some type of video? Or what? Oh, it's some type of book. Is that Hynek's book online, is it? Hynek UFO report. Yeah, it's a full book. What's that website?
Yeah.
Looks like it's his full book there. Is that, they must have the case in it then. Have you got that one on the bookshelf?
Yeah, I read that book.
Yeah, but have you got a copy of it yourself?
I've got a copy of it myself, yes.
Yeah. You'd think it would have more pictures in it. I'll just skim it quickly here. Oh, there's one. What was that one? Flying saucer. Flying saucer shapes by the looks of it. Maybe people want to skim through that one then. I'll give a copy to it. Hynek book. This is stuff PD now, is it? It says you can download it here. Chose not to allow download, although it says you can't download. But I'm pretty sure there's a way to download it. It's going to be in the case, right? So what's that one there? Another case by the looks of it. It's very wordy, isn't it? But we found that other link the other day, and Hynek had like boxes and boxes and boxes of things that he wrote. What was it called now? UCAP? That was just amazing how much information he had collected, and it's stored in a library in America, which obviously you can get access to it.
Yeah, UFOS is the one that Hynek created, the group that he created.
Yeah, it goes on a bit. Okay, so it goes on a bit, but yeah, let's see if I can find that website with all his collection. I think it was called UCAP or something, like a university, university or something. University or something, rather, Hynek. Just look like it could be a university. storage. Can't remember what it's called now. I know I did post it to Facebook, wasn't it? Case files. I think I might have typed case files in. Because Earl from MUFON was asking around if anyone actually had found it. Oh, here it is. Hynek Archives. Oh, that's Black Vault.
I've posted a link up.
That's the Wikipedia for the next one, is it?
No, that's the Alan Hynek Centre for UFO Studies. Anyway, to move on.
Yeah, I guess so. I was hoping to find the link anyway, but the library's got like is it like 40 boxes of Hynek notes stored away that you can go and get copies of? So that's amazing.
I think his daughter looks after it.
Yeah. So what's the next case we're going to?
Yeah, okay. So it's the Iran 1976 case.
Oh, right. The pilot sighting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's more than one. Parvez Jaffari was the main witness to this, and you had a lot of evidence: airborne visual, on-the-ground visual, military witnesses, civilian witnesses, and positive radar returns. So there's a lot of evidence there.
So,
and
what's the link?
Link for you now. I'll post it to you now.
Yeah.
There we go.
Have we got a city so we can look it up on Google Maps? Where
it's Tehran.
Yeah.
It's the capital.
Yeah, what location did the encounter happen? Somewhere.
I don't know anything more.
It's putting that stupid studio thing in front again.
Again.
I'm not sure why it's doing that. Oh, this guy again. Hey. We have to be careful not to use too much of his material though.
Okay. I don't think there's any music on it, so I thought that was a good link.
Tehran UFO incidents. So let's see what we can find out. Does it give us a location? Here we go. Does it give us where it happened over top though? 2 interceptors. There's Philip Klaus mentioned. Likely saw in astronomical body, Jupiter. Oh well, we'll get through to it. So I thought we were going to get a map there. So we're looking at that location there anyway. So that's no good to us there. So let's carry on.
In September
yeah, that's gone as well.
1976, the Iranian Air Force scrambled 2 Phantom jets to intercept a luminous shape-shifting object drifting over the capital city of Tehran. But every time the jets approached it, their equipment failed, and the object darted away. The case is exemplary for involving a mix of radar data, physical effects, and multiple independent witnesses, and a classified report proves that it drew attention from the highest levels of the US government, despite official insistence to the contrary. Around 10:30 p.m. on the night of September 18, 1976, Hussein Peruzzi, an experienced air traffic controller working at Mehrabad Airport in Tehran, received a call from a woman northeast of the airport who saw a luminous object glowing red, yellow, and orange. It was shaped like a four-blade fan and seemed to split in two. A few minutes later, another caller reported a similar object in the same area of the sky, one which also split in two and then rejoined as one. The tower radar was under repair, so Peruzzi could not confirm the UFO, but after receiving 2 more calls in the next half hour, he stepped outside to look through his binoculars. In the direction of the caller's sightings, he saw a luminous cylindrical object sitting horizontally in the sky, about 1.8 kilometers, or 6,000 feet, off the ground. He guessed that it was 8 meters wide, or just over 26 feet. Each end was glowing blue, and a red light was making an orbit around the center every second or two, and pausing every 90 degrees. The entire cylinder was rocking back and forth like a seesaw. As it got closer...
So, have we got any pictures at all on this one?
I think you'll only have artist rendition.
Was there no cameras on the planes? Let's see what we can find. Images. What's that up? September 96. Looks like the same map.
Well, I know they had the shoot down order, yeah.
What's that there? Oh, there's the cylinder.
That is.
Is that the cylinder? That must be their handwritten notes, is it? Drawn based on sketch. It was rectangular in shape, 6,000 feet. With blue, right end was blue and the left end was blue, and in the middle was a red light. How does that sound like a Jupiter? He thought that the object was probably cylindrical. Okay. So that's what he's doing here.
Closer, Peruzzi saw it slowly change into a trooping starfish with a green body and a core that glowed like red-hot coal. Its arms were dark orange, but faded to yellow at the tips. It seemed to have 4 of them, though Peruzzi believed that there was actually only one arm switching positions. However, when Peruzzi's trainees looked through the binoculars shortly after, they saw a semicircle. The object was constantly changing shapes. The object drifted to the north, and sometimes to the south, and even once seemed to instantaneously disappear and reappear a few kilometers from its original location. To add to the mystery, 4 aircraft that flew over the area in the next half hour heard an emergency beeper on their radio, though there was no record of a crash. Around 12:30 a.m., Peruzzi called the Imperial Iranian Air Force and spoke to Brigadier General Nader Yousefi, Assistant Deputy Commander of Operations. Yousefi saw the object for himself from his house in northern Tehran and confirmed that it was not a star. At 1:30 a.m., he called Cherokee Air Force Base in nearby Hamadan and scrambled an F-4 Phantom jet. The pilot, Yadi Nazari, saw the object distinctly from well over 100 kilometers away, but said that it was too bright to see a shape. It was radiating violet, orange, and white light and appeared to be about 3.6 kilometers, or 12,000 feet off the ground. Nazari was instructed only to get a visual inspection, but when he approached within 46 kilometers, or just under 29 miles, the object moved farther away. Even at Mach 2, Nazari was unable to close in. When he turned back towards Tehran, an object flew up from behind and darted by, beating him back to the city while he was still 240 kilometers, or 150 miles away. As he approached the UFO again, he lost all his radio and navigational aids, and regained them when he turned away. On his last approach, he lost his radio and intercom functionality as well. He then heard the same emergency signal reported earlier, before running low on fuel and returning to Cherokee.
Okay, so we've got a second sighting for it, have we? What else we got here? Jellyfish, I reckon. I can't see any images of a jellyfish. So you've broken up there. doesn't seem to be many images. What's this one? What's that saying? Witness to the famous thing. So we might have to look at that one. But that's not like the drawing that he was talking about, where it was blue on the ends and red in the middle. They got it like.
I'm not even sure that's the same case, you know.
It does say famous here. How do we open it up? Well, let's see if it is the same anyway. So it looked like a jellyfish. Kind of weird. Could be that the lights underneath were making it look like a jellyfish, maybe. Maybe the beams are lights. So it says here, hi, I lived in Tehran from 1975 to 77. So that we call it Iran though, don't we? What's the difference?
The pilot sighting was 1976, so kind of going all around it there. I'm not really sure.
Says Iran here, but Tehran is actually a city, isn't it? Right. Okay. Now I get it. Okay, so we're talking about a city, Tehran.
So it's 3 years before the Muslim Revolution.
I can confirm segments of the event. So which event is he talking about? My dad was ex-Pakistan Air Force, living and working in Iran from Iran Air. He worked at the airport, and when he got to the office next morning, he also talked to many witnesses at the airport that saw the same and told me of the scrambling of the F4s. Was it F4s?
I think so.
Did they say F4s? Yes. Phantoms. F4 Phantoms. Yep. So it must be the same case. Oh. So I might just get that to read out here, because it might be a witness on the ground. It's quite a long thing though. And we'll just break up that video to add more stuff to it as we go.
Hi, I lived in Tehran from 1975 through 1977 and personally witnessed this event. I can confirm segments of this event. I went to Iran Zamin High School, graduated in spring 1977. My dad was an ex-Pakistan Air Force officer, living and working in Iran for Iran Air. He worked at the airport, and when he got to the office the next morning, he also talked to many witnesses at the airport that saw the same and told me of the scrambling of the F4s and that the instrumentation was jammed. I saw the F4 drop in the sky when it got close to the UFO. Very exciting for a 16-year-old. I lived in the mid-central part of the city, about 4.5 miles east of the commercial airport. Near 24 is Fan Square, the heart of the city. Right next to the Tehran University. I lived in a high-rise flat with my dad and was studying at late night for school exam between 12:30 a.m. and 1 a.m. when I heard the engines of fighter airplanes, Phantom S, streak across the sky. Having been an ex-Air Force officer kid, I have always been fascinated by aircraft and know the distinctive sounds of fighters. I knew these were likely F4 Phantoms. I knew this as I have lived next to air bases all my life, and knew that these were Phantoms and they were flying very low, too low and too fast. So, something was up. I immediately went to the rooftop of the flat and witnessed the part of the event after the F4s both were in the sky. From when they tried to fire on the UFO and got jammed. I saw the light, bright, rapidly alternating glow/colors from white to red to blue, orange, basically toy with the
He's got lots to say, this one.
aircraft. zipping left and travelled up and down the roofs of homes across the city towards the south of my vantage point, looking down a hill. Visibility was perfect as it was a very clear fall night, and I could see for 30-40 miles for sure without obstruction, because of the downhill grade of the land moving gradually away from the Tehran mountain range. I watched the event for about 10 minutes. Towards the end I saw the smaller object exit the large craft far in the distance and go towards the ground. It was in a direction from Tehran. I lost sight of the craft after it deposited the smaller craft towards the ground. It travelled away from that location and then moved slowly away. Then all of a sudden it zipped across the sky at a very high rate, like a fast meteor, but in reverse back up towards the sky. There was no doubt in my mind at that time that this was a fantastic object not of this earth. Later the next day, my dad heard the rest of the facts from people at the airport as I
noted. So almost to the end. So he's backing up the light changes. Almost sounds like a police cop. Sounds like a police cop. What do you call it? A flying car or something. Back in 1977, 76.
noted above, and all the pieces then made sense. I am so glad to see this information now available to the public, as I know what I saw, and about 9 years ago I heard of someone on Art Bell talking about it and they wanted more people to verify the event. I was unable to call in then, but I am glad this is as well documented and confirmed as I saw now, thanks to the internet for making this happen. The 1976 Tehran UFO incident was a radar and visual sighting of an unidentified flying object, UFO, over Tehran, the capital of Iran, during the early morning hours of the 19th of September 1976. During the incident, two F-4 Phantom II jet interceptors reported losing instrumentation and communications as they approached the object. These were restored upon withdrawal. One of the aircraft also reported a temporary weapons systems failure while the crew was preparing to open fire. Note, the above image is a GIF.
No, what does it say? Above image is CGI. I didn't see it, image. So was it taken from somewhere else? Can't see where he's talking about. But yeah. So we go back to the story, I guess. Why is it not going back? Oh right, I was linking from there, wasn't I? So yeah, we'll just carry on then. So we haven't really got much images apart from eyewitness accounts.
No.
At 1:40 a.m., Youssefi scrambled a second Phantom, piloted by Lieutenant Parviz Jafari, then a squadron commander. Jafari's radar operator was able to get a lock on the object, which appeared on the scope to be the size of a Boeing 707, but they could not get close enough to see a structure. Every time they closed within 46 kilometers, or 31 miles, the object sped away or jumped positions in the sky. Jafari calculated that it once jumped more than 43 kilometers, or 27 miles, in an instant. It also changed shape again. Jafari said that it was composed of 4 flashing strobe lights in a rectangular pattern, flashing blue, green, red, and orange so quickly that they could all be seen at once.
There's the other sighting.
In the center was a red light with a yellow glow. At one point, a smaller ball of light emerged from the UFO and moved rapidly towards the jet. Jafari attempted to launch an AIM-9 heat-seeking missile at it, only to realize that he had lost all weapons control and communications. He turned around and flew back towards Tehran, but the light followed him. Peruzzi saw this light from his tower and watched it fly up behind the jet and pass it overhead. At this moment, Peruzzi lost communication with the pilot, which did not resume until Jafari went into a diving turn and the object broke chase. The light swung around to the inside of his turn, then rejoined the larger UFO, and Jafari later regained the use of all instrumentation. Soon after, Jafari, his radar operator, Peruzzi, and his trainees all saw another smaller object emerge from the opposite side of the UFO and drop quickly down to Earth. The jet's crew watched the light slow in its descent and land gently on the ground, casting a brilliant glow that extended for 2 to 3 kilometers. Jafari said that it looked like daytime, so much so that it took some time for him and his operator to adjust their eyes to the darkness again. They approached the main object, which was orbiting over the landed one, and again lost their navigational aids. Yousefi ordered Jafari to shoot down the UFO, but before the pilot could act on his orders, his firing control panel went dead. As he ran low on fuel and began his return to Mehrabad, he had communicated.
That almost sounds like what that was happening with the nuclear silos, wasn't it? With the rockets being deactivated. I don't see how that class could say this was Jupiter. This is crazy.
And navigational failures in the same place outside the airport, and strong interference on the radio. The one commercial flight that landed in that time experienced the same thing. In descent, Jafari saw another cylindrical object with lights at the ends and a flasher in the middle fly up behind him and pass him overhead. Tower operators at Mehrabad saw it for themselves when directed where to look. Eventually, Yousefi gave up on the chase. Peruzzi said that it was about 4 a.m. when the original UFO ascended into the air and disappeared from view. Shortly after, the crew of a Portuguese jetliner leaving Lisbon saw a lighted bluish object fly out of the west, and another Portuguese crew over the Mediterranean saw a bright light flying from the same direction. In the next few hours, authorities in Morocco also received a flood of UFO reports from across the country. Witnesses described a silvery flattened ball drifting through the air, while others saw a luminous tube-shaped object that shot sparks from its rear.
Sparks from the rear, that could be like a fireball though, you know, like a meteorite. Was there any other UFOs that actually looked like cylinders? UFO cylinders.
There's cases, yes.
With blue lights.
Paul, I've left you a PDF document there now. I'm going to have to go pick up my prescription because this eye is really painful.
Oh, okay. How long is that going to be?
I'm really sorry about that. Whoa, it's going to be an hour, probably, with the wait. Sorry to leave you that now, but I'm in a bit of pain here.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Please, have you on with us.
PDF. Okay. Well, it's meant to be his presentation, but he's got an eye infection. But that's alright, we can pick up. Maybe I can pick up where he's left off. So I was trying to see if there's any other cases out there of blue lights. Emits a blue beam. I don't trust anything coming out of UK RAG though. Express especially. A lot of them turn out to be fake or nonsense. So let's see if we can pick up images. Cylinders with blue lights on end. Yeah, nothing's popping up. Because I don't think I've heard of anything with blue lights before. Why would UFOs have so many coloured lights on it though? That's kind of weird. Could this one be like the US with some sort of crazy UFO secret craft with LED lights on it? Well, bright lights on it, and an EMF type weapon to disrupt their instruments. It's possible, I guess. Nothing popping up there. So, carry on with this then. Better get his PDF. Right, the Black Vault. I'm not sure what he's going to say here. Looks like it's from Freedom of Information. 6 pages. So what's the summary on it? Doesn't say much, does it? So we might have to come back to that one.
After sunrise on September 19th, just hours after the chase, the second jet pilot and his radar operator were taken out in a helicopter to search the lakebed where the object landed. Though they found nothing there, they picked up a strong beeper signal concentrated over a farmhouse to the west. The residents there said that early that morning they heard a loud noise and saw a bright light. The next day, the Tehran Journal ran a story on the UFO event, and to follow up the day after quoted an audio tape of the first jet's communications with the control tower, but the tape was not made public. Curiously, the Kaihan International newspaper published a story the same day, citing an unnamed official source who flatly denied that most of the events that night had taken place. Afterwards, however, the Tehran Journal published a summary of Peruzzi's account of events, which confirmed the original narrative. Several papers also claim that the police were involved, but there is no record of an investigation. The day after the encounter, the Iranian Air Force interviewed the 2 pilots, and Lieutenant Colonel Olin Mui of the U.S. Military Assistance and Advisory Group sat in for Jafari's testimony. Mui prepared a teletype message that summarized the results of this interview and sent it to a number of U.S. government offices and intelligence agencies, including the CIA, the NSA, the White House, and the Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger. Colonel Frank McKenzie of the U.S. Defense Attaché Office in Tehran sent a nearly identical message to the Pentagon on September 23rd. Still, Kissinger gave an evasive reply to a request for information from the King of Morocco, citing the 1969 Condon study as justification for disregarding UFOs. On October 12th, Colonel Roland Evans wrote an evaluation of the Mui memo for the DIA, deeming the information it contained to be of high reliability and value, meeting all the criteria necessary to enable a valid study of the UFO phenomenon. This in spite of the fact that the US Air Force had recently closed its UFO investigation group, Project Blue Book, and claimed to be finished with UFO research. In 1978, Captain Henry Shields published a short summary of the case in an internal Air Force newsletter. The article was a simple rewording of the Mui memo, but it showed that some Air Force officials were interested in notable UFO sightings, even while the government was telling the American public to disregard them.
Okay. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so we've got another sub. Who was it? Didn't see. Oh, Alan. Hello. Thanks for joining, Alan. Also join the Discord group if you want to share links and files for future lives. At the moment I haven't got it open here because Robert's gone, but yeah, if you use the link I posted up above there, you'll see what it's like. So the explanation here from Skeptics is crazy. And so, according to that, we'll just read out what he's got to say here about this case.
According to U.S. journalist Philip J. Klass, it was likely the pilots initially saw an astronomical body, probably Jupiter, an explanation also cited by aerospace researcher James Oberg. Klass wrote that pilot incompetence and equipment malfunction likely accounted for the reported equipment failures. 2. According to Klass, the Westinghouse technician at Cherokee Air Base stated that only the first F-4 reported failing equipment, and that this F-4 was known for equipment failures with a long history of electrical outages, having been repaired only a month before the incident. Klass cites a McDonnell Douglas repair supervisor's opinion that the F-4's radar could have been in manual track mode, causing a wrong interpretation of the radar lock. 2. Bridestock criticized ufologists' reports as not a reliable account of the Iran UFO incident and summed up Klass's conclusions. 1.
Okay.
Klass found that only one aircraft had suffered electrical malfunctions, not 2. What is more, that plane had had a history of unexplained electrical faults, and the electrical workshop responsible for it was notorious for poor performance. In this context, A temporary electrical malfunction can hardly be characterized as mysterious. He also points out that the aircrews at the time were tired and rattled, and could have mistaken stars or meteors for UFOs and missiles. In addition, Klaas points out that radio faults on airliners are not unknown, and that is why they carry backup radio sets.
I don't know. What do you think of that one? Explanation. I suppose it's possible that they had a malfunction, and why they're in air combat mode there, but whether it's the objects that caused it, whether it was poor maintenance, it's hard to know, going by that statement at least. So what's here we're saying?
Regarding pilot reports of bright objects falling to the ground and leaving a bright trail, American skeptic author Brian Dunning observes that September the 19th, the day of the incident, was the height of 2 annual meteorite showers, the Gamma Pisids on the southern Pisids and the tail of the Etidraconids shower, so observation of falling objects or odd lights would not have been unusual. At the site where the falling light supposedly crashed, a beeping transponder from a C-141 aircraft was found according to investigating Colonel Moy. 3. According to Dunning. 3.
So a lot of things again happening under one event. Meteorite showers, faulty planes, and what's that one? The flashing lights, supposedly crash beacon, transponder. Yeah, I can see how the skeptics can write it off, right? But surely, yeah, pilots would know the difference between a meteorite shower coming down, lights blinking blue.
Once we look at all the story's elements without the presumption of an alien spaceship, the only thing unusual about the Tehran 1976 UFO case is that planes were chasing celestial objects and had equipment failures. There have been many cases where planes had equipment failures, and there have been many cases where planes misidentified celestial objects. Once in a while, both will happen on the same flight.
So that eyewitness, though, we just listened to, doesn't sort of match it being meteorite shower. Saying the object was there in the sky, changing colours. So that's a good question. Can meteorite showers actually be what colour range? Meteorite showers. So we've got a chart here. Meteorites glow in vibrant colours. I've only seen it flash in bright yellow myself in the skies here when I'm walking the dog. What's this coming up? What's that say there? Free with ad. So they're not going to let us see because we've got ad blocker. Probably. So what's it got here? It's got something plain on the side. Oh, that's going to be a useless sight, isn't it? Another one of these that takes over everything. The stupid stuff. What colours are meteorites? Let's go to that one. Hopefully the stream's still working. Oh yeah, looks like it. Okay, so what do we got here? The common emissions for metallic atoms in meteors or for asthmeric atoms can be seen below. So we got purple for calcium, iron is blue, magnesium is green, sodium is yellow, and nitrogen and oxygen is red. So it's got all the colours they were talking about, I guess. So I guess you can't rule that out then. And atoms in the meteoroid emit light because they are heated up and enter in the atmosphere. But then you got to talk about that it was a cylinder or a square shape. How long do meteorites last? Can't be long, can it? Let's have a look. How fast are they? 11 kilometers per second to 72 kilometers per second. Let's see, what else we got here? How long do the showers last? What's it say here? It's actually telling us the period of days that they last. Don't think I've seen one move slowly. 36 miles per second. How many meteorites hit Earth every day? Between 36 and 166. Larger than 10 grams fall to Earth. 18,000 to 84,000 meteorites bigger than 10 grams per year. That's quite a lot for meteorites stuff. But we didn't see how long they last visible. It's only got to be a few seconds unless it's a really huge one, right? So yeah, I suppose we can't really rule out a meteorite being a cylinder. And what else we got here? Response to your request under FIOA 1996. Search located document and close to the document. It's not the best of fonts they used back then, is it? Double spacing. I suppose that's so the computer can OC scan it properly or something. I don't know. Must be a reason why they double space it like that. So it makes it really hard for me to read it. This report forwards information concerning the sighting of a UFO in around 19th of September 1976. Goes on a bit there. Helicopter. There were no helicopters airborne. The command post called, I'm not sure what that says there, BG. Your Sophie. That was the guy, wasn't it? Command post. Deputy Commander Operations. Told Sidon it was only stars and had talked to, what's that say there? Something tower. He decided to look for himself. He noticed an object in the sky similar to a star, bigger and brighter. He decided to scramble something there from something A5 to investigate. A #5, I don't know. What's the rest of it say here? Bit hard to read it. Terrible. To a point about 40k, 48, something north of Tehran. Due to its brilliance, the object was easily visible from 79 miles away. Approached a range of 25 something rather. He lost all instruments. Yeah, that was in the video. He broke off the intercept and headed back to whatever that is there when the F4 turned away from the object and apparently had no longer a threat to it. Doesn't sound like a meteorite if it's going to turn away. So I wonder if there's some interview with the pilots around that we can have a watch. After the second object joined up with the primary object. So meteorites don't do that though. They don't sort of fly from it and then fly back, do they? Another object to come out of the other side of the primary object going straight down. Great rate of speed. F4 crew had regained communications. And goes on a bit. A civil airliner that was approaching during this same time experienced communication failure in the same vicinity, but did not report seeing anything. While I'm not sure what that says there. F4 was on a long final approach. The crew notices another cylinder-shaped object about the size of a T-bird, is it? At 18,000 feet with bright, steady lights on each end, which doesn't sound, again, like a meteorite. Because it's normally all lit up, isn't it? And a flasher in the middle, which queried the tower state there was no other known traffic in the area. Yeah, helicopter where the object apparently had landed. So what's that one there? During daylight, the F4 crew was taken out to the area and the helicopter. So what was this about the object? We're about to skim over that one. Along final approach, the crew noticed another cylinder-shaped object. T-bird, read that. There was no other craft, we read that bit. So what did I miss out here? After the pilot told them to look between the mountains and something else, refinery, is it? During daylight, where the object had fallen. So where was the object that fell down then? I don't remember seeing that. I'm skimming. So what does it say here anyway? Nothing was noticed at the spot when they thought the object landed. A dry lake bed, but as they circled off to the heat of the area, they picked up a very noticeable beeper signal. At the point it was a return. So that's the C1114 they were talking about, or the skeptic was talking about. Lightning, the aircraft was where the object is believed to have landed. checked for possible radiation. No comments. Actual information contained in the report was obtained from source. And that's all we got. Yeah, it's a bit hard reading it. But yeah, the link's on the side there if you want to have a go. It needs to be converted back into normal text so you can get the reader to read it. Which I can do, but it'll just take a few hours to do it probably. So that looks like the same reports here, is it? No, they're not. Page 3. Oh, that's blurry. Alright, it's coming in now. Not to see it. What's that? Okay, it's a bit hard to read that one too. So it doesn't say much there really on the wiki page. So we'll carry on with the rest of this. Actually, I might just see if there's any let's interviewed. Looks like there might be something up there on video. Probably help if I corrected the spelling there, maybe. So what do we got here? Looks like it's not that case. Probably need to put the year number in. Looks like in here. Edward Snowden. What? The US government will say I aided our enemies. I don't know. Sort of a mixture there.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Alright. It looks like it might be the one. Exopolitica.
My name is...
What have we got? Speed.
Parviz Jafari, and I'm a retired general of Iranian Air Force.
Sounds drunk.
At about 11 p.m. on the evening of 18 September 1976, citizens were frightened by circling of an unknown object over Tehran, the capital city of Iran, at a low altitude. It looked similar to a star, but bigger and brighter. They reported it to the tower and was seen by Towerman 2. He alerted the Air Force Command Post, and Deputy General Yousefi decided to scramble an F-4 jet to investigate. The pilot in the first jet lost instrumentation and communication,
when he got too close to the brilliant object, so he headed back. About 10 minutes later, they scrambled a second jet which I was piloting. At the time, I was squadron commander. I approached the object, which was flashing with intense red, green, orange, and blue. The light was so bright that I was not able to see its body. The sequence of flashes was extremely fast, like a strobe light. We locked on it with radar it was at 30 degrees left, at range of 25 miles. The size on the radar scope was comparable to that of a 707 tanker. 4 other objects with different shapes separated from the main one at different times during this close encounter. Whenever they were close to me, my weapons were jammed and my radio communications were garbled. One of the objects headed toward me. I thought it was a missile. I tried to launch a heat-seeker missile to it, but my missile panel went out. Another followed me when I was descending on the way back. One of the separated objects landed in an open area radiating a high bright light in which the sands on the ground were visible. We could hear emergency squash at all the way, which was reported by other airliners flying at the time and continued for another couple of days. During my interview at headquarters, after the incident, the American Lieutenant Colonel Alan Moy took notes, but after it was over, I could not find him to talk with. Later, once classified document was released here in America through the Freedom of Information Act. The Defense Intelligence Agency documented the event in great detail, and it was sent to NSA, the White House, and the CIA. The DIA assessment said this case is a classic that meets all necessary conditions for a legitimate study of the UFO phenomena. Then I would be happy to answer questions and tell you more. Thank you.
So that's all we got. We've heard most of that already. So let's see what I've got to say here at the end.
Cruzy twice in the fall of 1976, and spoke to Mackenzie, Evans, and the deputy commander of the Iranian Air Force, who confirmed many of the details reported in the press. UFO debunker Philip Klass investigated the case the next summer and shared his findings in his book, UFOs, The Public Deceived, in 1983. Class spoke with a few unnamed officials in Tehran, as well as some unnamed American field engineers that worked on the jets there. But though he read the Iranian news coverage and consulted the Moy memo, he ignored the testimony of Peruzzi, Yousefi, and the other air traffic controllers. Class also falsely stated that only the second jet malfunctioned when it engaged the UFO. To account for the witnesses' observations, he proposed an unlikely coincidence of hypothetical events, suggesting that the pilots chased the star Capella, or the planet Jupiter, and that their radar systems produced a false return in the corresponding position. At the same time, a meteor came shooting from the same direction, and an undocumented flight dropped an emergency beacon near the lakebed. According to Class, the engineers that he spoke with said that the pilots were extremely tired and poorly trained, and thus prone to error. Even so, Class assumes an enormous amount of incompetence on the part of the Iranian Air Force, and still fails to explain many aspects of the case. In 1982, Bruce Maccabee, an American optical physicist with NICAP, did his own investigation, and spoke with the avionics engineers who maintain the radar and electronics in the F-4s at Cherokee and Mehrabad. Both engineers said that they were not allowed to examine the jets for 4 days after they landed, until the Iranian Air Force had a chance to look them over, although neither party could find any signs of damage. The engineer at Mehrabad at first believed that the radar returns were reflections off a distant mountain peak, but rejected the idea when he learned that they lasted for more than a few seconds, as a ground return would. By Maccabee's calculations, the lock lasted for more than 48 seconds. The Iranian government made a film about the incident, starring most of the real-life witnesses. Many of the same witnesses appeared in an episode of the TV series Sightings in 1994, which featured footage from the film. All witnesses agreed that something highly unusual appeared over Tehran that night, and some said that they believed it was an extraterrestrial spacecraft. After retiring as a general, Jafari even spoke at a conference at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. in 2007, in which a number of high-profile military and government officials demanded a globally coordinated investigation of the UFO phenomenon. He also told his story on History Channel's UFO Hunters in 2008. The Tehran UFO was noteworthy for two behaviors in particular: for repeatedly changing form, and for splitting in two and rejoining as one. These are both behaviors that one would not expect of any conventional craft, but that are often seen from UFOs. In fact, many UFOs seem to have no physical structure at all. But what really makes the Tehran case stand out amongst other sightings is the strength of the evidence. There were multiple trained independent witnesses with vastly different perspectives on the UFO, visual observations that were corroborated by radar data, and several sightings that corresponded with equipment failures and physiological reactions in the witnesses. The event is a case in point for the fact that pilots and air traffic controllers do see UFOs and track them on radar, and will speak about their experiences when given the freedom to do so. The Iranian Air Force's relatively open approach to the investigation shows that greater transparency is possible in UFO research, but the hidden involvement of the US government suggests that there is still a lot left learned in secret.
So, there you go. Does sound like it was like a mothership, doesn't it? That sort of had another little UFO breakaway to investigate. So I suppose that's all we got. Ren got Robert there to present it because he had to take off. So I was going to cover this Washington DC UFO invasion. I was going to talk about this guy at some point too. So there's a series on TV called UFOs: The Lost Evidence that talked about this 1952 case. So we'll let Robert probably talk about that, but I just want to bring attention to that all the video footage. There was no pictures or video taken, but well, the TV was saying it was real evidence. Let's see if I got the folder open for it. Just delete that one. So if you're watching this series on TV, here we go. They have this particular frame here where they keep saying actual film evidence. Well, this whole film that they show is actually a forgery. So it's like a total foul, and also more disinformation into the UFO field about what was real about the case, the sighting over Washington Capitol. But we'll get Robert to go over it sometime. But maybe we've got the video here. Let's have a see. There's a video of it here. There's actually some sort of emanation. Based on the photograph that the newspaper made. Not sure how they did it. It was before Photoshop days. But I suppose they could just have a strip of lights on there that they just simply scrolled along over top of another film footage of the photograph of the White House there. Whatever that capital is. What's that place there? Washington DC. What's that one called? What's the building called? US Capitol. But I've talked about this case before, about the photographs. Where is it? So this guy goes into a bit more detail. So maybe I'll just keep it there and just bring it up again sometime quickly. But apparently the photograph here that the reporter took is actually a reflection of these lights down here. So you got to invert it going this way. 1, 2, 3, those three. Then those ones in the middle there. And then you got these two over here that get inverted that way. Which is those two lights there. Now I've sort of done that debunk before, but you can see if you save the image. So the reporter knew it was lens reflection into the camera. But the UFO case is actually really real. It's a really good one. About, I think it was 9 objects, was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think it was 9. Flew over the Capitol, and they got radar locks on it. So that's another fake image there. What's that one say? Black and white of the more historical look. What's that one there? Tweaked with Photoshop. Newspaper here. Oh, magazine. Using it. Oh, here you go. This one's mapping out all the different lights there. So those two, it reckons, is from there. Oh, so I probably don't need to put it into the editor and flip it. You got to remember when you're in a camera lens, it inverts the lights. So that's why it switches from left to right. It's how the optics of the lens works. What's this one? Photograph again. What's interesting though here, which is kind of funny, is they're still reporting it everywhere as real video and photographic evidence, and there was none taken. Here, MUFON in 2016, Jan Hassan, director of MUFON, using this fake photo, saying these are visual photographs of the actual objects, so no better than the TV show. And then also in 2018, we've got the Italian UFO group CUN hosted a presentation in Rome by Tom DeLong on To the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences, Luis Elizondo Atip. in the early 1950s, this is what they said, I suppose, saying in the 1950s, the United States had another very significant event over the national's capital. Once again, these objects were identified both with the naked eye and again on radar, and unlike Roswell, many people had cameras and were able to take photographs, and what you see here are the real photographs. So that's kind of funny. These guys are meant to be the panel of experts, right? They should know, knowing that, like I did with a simple 5-minute Google search, that there was no real footage taken. So, what they got to say here in the comments. While the photographs may have been fake, the incident was indeed real. My grandmother was one of the pilots. Air Force colonel at the time that flew the sortie. He has drawings. Oh, grandfather. Did I say grandmother? Has drawings and witness accounts from the colleagues at the time that would blow the average person's mind. Unfortunately, until there's proof, I guess we're all a bit nuts. So I think Robert will cover this case a bit better. So we'll post the link to that anyway. You can go and have a read of all those. So yeah, I think it was on Lost Evidence, Presidents and UFOs or something, episode 5, season 2. And so when it says actual evidence, you can have a laugh, because now, because you've watched me, you know that there's no photographs or actual real video of the whole event. And what was this page here? Disclose TV. How many pages have they got? They haven't got too much. So it makes you wonder what kind of research people they have when they make these UFO TV shows. There's a new show that just came out today. I'm not sure there's much information on it. It's very shocking. I posted it on Twitter. What was it called now? It's called Contact 2019. I don't know if there's anything available. Much out there on it. I suppose it's not a very good name for a TV show because it's hard to search for it. I think it was TravelTV again. Let's see if it comes up. No, it's still not coming up, is it? Like I said, it's a fairly new show. And it's not well publicised. But essentially, it's got some sort of guy that was in the Middle East as a CIA intelligence person, and they got this supercomputer in the corner of this big warehouse thing that they're using to search for all the records on the internet, like the government does with the NSA, to look up things, and they come up with this theory that a UFO makes a boom noise in the sky, when that's not actually the case at all, is it? If anything, UFOs make no sound, and they don't make sonic booms. So they go and use the computer to search for sonic booms, and then they go to a location, then they start exploring and talking to people, what they heard, and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's kind of a bit of funny thing, really. And also they talk about this Chilean one, which turned out to be a plane in the end. So I'm not sure how much research their supercomputer and these 6 eggheads on the show are meant to have. It's just laughable, really. So yeah, Contact, Alien, TravelTV. Why isn't it not coming up? Because I got type Alien Encounters, I think it was called. Alien Encounters. There's Lost Evidence. Looks like I can't find it now. Like I said, I'm not sure why the TV show won't come up. CIA. I'll try that. Nope. TV show. It's kind of strange they can't find any information on it. Kind of strange, isn't it? Perhaps it didn't have a name or contact when it first was broadcast. What else can you do? Apart from going to my Twitter page, I did actually find a TV listing. Where is it? Yeah. So go and check it out anyway. Okay. Now this is something else that come up on Lost Evidence here. They're claiming this Buddha temple is actually a UFO, and I'm suggesting it's simply just a sun, because you can see the curvature there. It's not actually a dome, you can actually see it's curving beyond the dome. Sun rising above the Earth horizon there, that's what it is. But they've put up a few other ones which we know are fake. This one here with a bug on long exposure on a security camera that's reflecting the IR lights back, creates a cylinder shape, and this one here playing contrail. So yeah, and they're saying it's actual evidence of a UFO, and it's rubbish. And this one too, extra evidence. We know this Israel one, Jerusalem, was faked by film students. Jamie Masson from Brazil, the journalist, kept going on about it, even though it was debunked months and months beforehand. He still reported it on the Congress. Can't remember what year it was, 2015 was it? With the UFO coming above the dome of the, what do you call it, church or whatever, synagogue. But yeah, where's the TV show description? Oh, here it is. So here it is. Description. It was at 10 o'clock tonight on the DSC. Was that Discovery Channel? That's probably why I couldn't find it. Discovery Channel, was it? DSC. It's normally TravelTV that's doing quite a lot of these paranormal shows at the moment. Contact. Still not popping out, is it? Kind of weird that I can't find it. Maybe Google have really crippled the search results after all. Anything to do with UFOs and aliens. It's hopeless, isn't it? What if I contact? That's correct. Anyway, it says 6 experts deploy CIA developed link analysis software, which is looked pretty interesting, but it was giving them some crazy ideas anyway. Special ops intelligence training, boots on the ground journalism, and a global investigation to determine if aliens have made contact with Earth. It sounds really good, but I sort of complained about it. So I won't say much more on it there. But yeah, it's just funny I can't find the listing for it. Yeah, my voice is going now. I might have to wrap up in a minute, so it's getting 3:30 in the morning here. News shows. Well, let's see if you can find it out there. You think it'd be in the movie database, wouldn't you? Because that one normally comes up straight away. Contact 2018. Don't think that's the same one, is it? Nope, that's not the same one. They should have chosen a better name, really, shouldn't they? Should have called it Investigating Aliens or something like that. Something new. Stupid name to call it Contact. So yeah, I can't give you a link to it, but do a search there. Maybe you can type in episode 1. Find a stream that you can watch it. First Contact. No, that's another series. Probably have to type in the full name, probably. It's crazy, I can't find it. Might show up better next week, maybe, when they do episode 2. Watch Contact season 1. Here we go. Found it. tvguide.com. There we go. So DSC first aired 7th of August, a couple of days ago. So I only heard about it today, so and there's also another paranormal show that you might be interested in called let me see, think of it. Paranormal Emergency. I wonder if that one comes up better. Six days ago. There's TravelTV, so here's another TravelTV one. That sounds quite interesting. It's 911 calls and police officers and people that you can trust that go into buildings to investigate stuff. Looks like it's not going to come up for me. The preview. I guess that's the one. I don't know if we got a basic. Oh, we got a Facebook. Is that one? Or is it someone using a similar name? Looks like some group, not the TV show. Oh, well, go and check out those two programs anyway. And And I think I'll wrap it up there. I was going to talk about these other things, but I'll leave it for Sunday. The debunks of various things out there. When I've got some more time, more energy to do it in the next afternoon. So yeah, thanks for joining us, and let's just close that down to please like and share. We'll cover the other stuff another time. I'm just going to wind down now. Hopefully the episode is recorded alright, with all the problems we had tonight with the strange dropout. But it is beta software still with Google. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we have more to come on old cases anyway, each week. Stay tuned. Good night, everybody. So